Yeah. I want to make sure you get your watch parties going. All right, we're live now. The NYCHA show. Got my man Stan Morse in the building. Open him up. My man Stan Morse.
Yes, sir.
I also have the awesome, the one and only Saundrea Coleman's in the building. So we just started, just giving you all time to get your watch parties together. You guys got notifications on your end, Stan? You got a notification? You should, it's on your page. Saundrea Coleman, and I'm not even going to reveal the special guest yet. Y'all gotta hold on to that. This show is big, baby. This is big. One night you're doing big things. Good. We had a good show last night on ESP Sports. We talked about health and wellness, right? With Miss Hazel, Hurst, Dawkins, Tanya. That was cool. I think we're going on the fastest. It's kind of hard to say. When you're fat, you like fried chicken. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you changed it up a little bit. I was expecting the other song, but this is cool.
Yeah,
cool.
I had to do
This is
something,
cool.
I'm trying to get, the one night shows on the day.
Yeah, this is cool.
And you know what? I am there. Yeah. Word up. Okay. All right. So, I want to welcome you all to the NYCHA show. This is a big show this week. We got a lot of things going on, a lot of things to talk about. I was giving you all the chance to get into your watch parties, right? So, also, we have the number going across the bottom of the screen if you want to call in. This might be one of those shows that you might want to connect with the guest that I have on right now and really voice your opinion on things that you might want to talk about. If you had, I'm just going to shoot this out there. If you had a mayoral candidate at your disposal that you could talk to, because we're piping you in right now live, then you know what? I think you should pick up the phone or let's get into the chat room. Big shout out to Cynthia Hill, because Cynthia, she's always heavy. Hey, Cynthia. She'll probably be on in a minute. Right?
Cynthia Tibbs.
Yes, Cynthia Tibbs. Come on. She's like our resident TA president.
No doubt.
What did I do? Oh, yeah, Attorney Valentine. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. So, here's the deal. Stan, you in the house?
I'm in the house.
All right, I'm going to flip this over to Stan Morse. Stan Morse, there you go. And we will reveal the secret guest.
No problem.
There you go.
All right. I'm a political organizer, community organizer. A lot of times we call out elected officials, and we call out folks who say they care and don't care. What I want to say is this person running for mayor has been in NYCHA developments with me, working directly with tenants, showing up without cameras being there, without any of that. And so that's when you know somebody's genuine, they really care. And I love that, So Joycelyn Taylor is running for mayor out of NYCHA. So out of NYCHA. When everybody who lives in NYCHA to know that here's an example of what you can do. You can have power coming from those developments and do anything you want.
You know
so
what?
I'm excited for that.
Give it a beat. Hold on.
Give it a beat.
Oh! That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
You got to celebrate when you have that type of energy in the room.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And that is tremendous. So without further ado, let's go to Saundrea Coleman. Saundrea Coleman hanging out on my right. What's up, Saundrea?
Hey, everyone. I'm Saundrea Coleman. I am a activist, organizer for NYCHA, minister, all those good things. And I'm happy to have our guest, Miss Taylor, here today. I met her some months ago, and we actually went out to a diner, and they picked up the tab, her team and my team. And then I was about to get her going on a crusade through the city, but the pandemic hit. But I did have got her introduced to Stan Morris, I'm messing your name, and took it from there. So she's just been on the ground doing what she do, and I'm happy to have you, and we're gonna get you in.
Thank you, guys.
Stan, show's on you. Go for it, baby.
Yeah, so I want to kind of give you guys an update on what I was talking about. Last week we had Brother Sugar Ray on, and we were talking about his mother's apartment.
Right.
So 2 weeks ago we marched down to the management office and we got the repairs done. But now the update is they sent her a letter. A letter sort of questioning her tenancy now. So we feel that this is retaliation.
100%.
Because now why are you sending her a letter now? When all the repairs are done now, you're questioning her tenancy. So we marched back down to the management office again. Joycelyn was there with me. And then we had Carolyn Maloney. Big shout out to Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney because she was there.
Yeah.
And we put, as well as Lauren Ashcraft, who also ran for Congress. And so we had like a little contingent there. And we're confronting now the management office about what they're doing to this tenant. We don't want people to feel fear. If they fight, they should not feel like they're going to be retaliated because they're asking for repairs in their apartment.
Right.
That's absurd. So we're going to do something on Thursday at 2:00. Everyone is welcome. The more people, the better. We're going to go back to that management office. We're going to contact the press. We're going to bring other NYCHA residents who have repair issues to that management office, and we're going to apply maximum pressure on them so they could get the repairs done that need to be done. And I, again, want to give a big shout out to Joycelyn. It was raining. It was not the best day, but folks showed up and put the pressure on anyway, and that's important. So all the other elected officials, if you're not doing what she does on behalf of NYCHA residents, and we got to call you out because I know her support is genuine and it's much needed during this time.
Wow. You know what? I got to tell you how I feel about that. You see, because this is what they do, people. You understand what I'm saying? This has been going on for hundreds of years, the same thing. Mm-hmm. You stand up for something that's right, that a basic need, right? Because we saw the pictures of the apartment on this show. Am I correct with with everything all messed up? We had that the other lady was on it, Tasha, right? That was on there too. Right. And we saw the pictures. So you go and fight for what's right for a basic human need, and then retaliation comes back?
Yeah.
I'm here to tell y'all right now, stop being scared because they can't threaten everybody. If we all unify, then it's on and popping. The reason why they're scared is because you organized, stand, and you unified.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Had you gone by yourself, this wouldn't even be an issue. Right. So I think it's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because we've gotten an action, right? We've gotten a reaction from the action you caused.
Right. Right.
So now we in the ballpark, baby. Now we playing the game.
That's right. That's
so
right.
it's just part of the game. They sent the letter to you. We got action again. We coming back.
That's right.
Because this ain't right.
I'm going down there Tuesday with her when they actually have the meeting, and we're going to see what they say. And I think Carolyn Maloney's representative, Ernie Brooks, big shout out to Ernie, is going to probably join me and continue to apply pressure, so they know that she's not by herself. She's not going to get treated that way.
Got you. Okay. So,
and I just want to say in reference to that, thank you for your advocacy, but I also want to say what you said in regards to, if politicians aren't out there doing what it is that I'm doing, that we want to call them out. I will expect our politicians to do more. Right? Because they have more power than I have. And they need to become more proactive instead of reactive.
That's right.
We want them to do more than what it is that we're doing, because the letter that they gave to this young lady talked about her not being a desirable tenant. But I'm going to tell you, when you go into those apartments, even when you go in the buildings, that's what's undesirable.
Yeah.
It's not the tenants. I mean, I went into the building. You go into the building, the smell in the building, the tiles are all cracked and not taken care of. I mean, you go into these buildings. I live in pink houses. I went back to pink houses the other day, and every time I go there, it upsets me. It's the same tiles and everything from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I want our politicians to step up and do more.
Right.
And we will call you out if you don't.
Yeah.
We have to. We have to call you out.
No real investment in the infrastructure. So how can NYCHA sustain if they're not putting any money into the infrastructure?
That's right.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, so for you to say that, and with the tiles and stuff that you've seen from way back when, that's a testament of its own. NYCHA needs to step up.
And I do want to mention they also threw us out the office. They said because of the pandemic, and all of that, but they threw out the congresswoman and all of us out of the office, because they did not want to hear what we had to say. So it was really it just shows you how they really feel about us and how they feel about people.
And of course, You got Cynthia Tibbs in the building right now. She's in the chat room heavy. Like, she's like this. She says, NYCHA likes to play psychological warfare with their tenants. Stand your ground.
All right.
Absolutely.
That's
She's
right.
like straight up with that. And then she came back again and said, the letter is called a 185. See, she's always on the legal.
That's right. That's right.
The letter is called a 185 action. 185 action. NYCHA always uses them for intimidation. So she's with what I'm saying from a legal standpoint. She knows what it is, the form. I don't know what the form is. I do know that this is a form of intimidation.
Right.
To stop you from wanting to fix your apartment.
And she broke down and cried. It was emotional. I mean, who wants to be called undesirable?
Right.
You know, the term that you used was like, what do you mean undesirable?
Listen, undesirable is no different than calling her the N-word. I'm just
More or
telling
less,
you.
right.
More or less. You understand what I'm saying? It's the same vibe. You want
Right.
to call me undesirable? Okay, we know what you're trying to say.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That's code language.
But
You
then
know what
she
I'm
can
saying?
in turn take pictures of her apartment and show how they're treating her, and that's
Right.
undesirable. That's
That's right.
deplorable. So you can hit them right back.
Right.
Hit them in the ankles and the knees, whatever you got to do.
That's right.
When they go back at them. She can show what's going on in her apartment, and if she's paying her rent, which she is,
She is, on time.
So at the end of the day, she's entitled to repairs.
That's
So
right. That's
That's
right.
basically it.
I concur with that. So, man, show's hot already. You know what I'm saying? Chat room is livening up.
Yeah.
I love what's happening.
And I would like to just say with
Please.
Ms. Taylor, she came out with our lawsuit. She was right there. I don't know if it was a December 13th filing when we filed, or was it January 15th? Do you recall? One of those days, she actually came and stood with us and went in the courtroom with us and everything when we was filing our lawsuit. So I appreciate that, and that shows. I believe it was the January 15th one. It was January 15th because I had to think back of what I had on. But it was January 15th. But she came out and she was right there with us. She stood with us, and then she went inside. She sat during the court proceedings. I mean, that's big.
Yeah. And, it just disheartens me that people have to even go through that.
Right.
Because that shouldn't be life.
Right.
You're not asking for anything, special. We're asking for people to be able to have their basic needs.
Yes.
Right? A decent place to live.
Yeah.
Right? This woman was asking to have a sink in her bathroom and light fixtures that were not hanging down. That's basic.
Yeah.
And other things. So we have to make sure that people's basic needs are met. And, that's part of the reason why I'm running, and I'm compelled to run because people are tired.
Yeah.
People
Absolutely.
are tired of having to fight for, paying into a system and then still having to fight for their basic needs to be met.
Housing is a human right.
Absolutely.
Bottom line. Yeah.
Now we have our mayor, who I'm gonna call you out,
Go
Mayor
ahead,
de Blasio. We don't. Most people in NYCHA are not for the privatization of NYCHA. So the mayor, our lovely mayor, is pushing that program to have developments bought. Do the RAD program and also do infill. And some of them have been bought already, so it's no longer a rumor. It's happening right now. So Joycelyn, as you run for mayor, what are your views on privatization, and how would you go about it differently than what he's doing?
It's just interesting to me that the path that we always seem to go down is a path that leads to other people making money or for people who are struggling. Right? At the end of the day, you have NYCHA residents who are your postal workers, they are your civil servants, they're your MTA workers, they're out on the front lines every day serving this city. Some of them have lived in NYCHA developments for 20, 30 years. So they've invested, on some instances, almost $250,000 over the years in living in that apartment. Why don't we give them an opportunity for ownership themselves? Why can't we do co-ops? If the issue is money, we already know that the city is not good at managing buildings. I agree. They should get out of the building management business. But why not make the first stop and give the first opportunity to residents who have invested and who have stayed there and dealt with so many things? Why not give them an opportunity to see the American dream and own something?
Exactly.
We shouldn't be going to developers first.
That's right.
Because when these developers are doing these, taking over these projects, they're getting money from the city.
They are.
So that same money that they're getting from the city can provide that as grants to the tenants to fix up their apartments. so that they can take the responsibility away from the city having to manage it, hire a management company. Because one of the things that I noticed also when we went to that apartment, the quality of the work that is being done in these apartments is just totally unacceptable, especially for the amount of wages and how much the city is paying for that work. That work was totally unacceptable. Was it done? Yes.
But it was
Did
definitely
it look
subpar.
like it was a new bathroom? No. It was not acceptable.
Right.
Patchwork.
Yes.
That's what they're good for. And they also go with the lowest bidder. You know, that's the city. You know, and you get what you pay for at the end of the day. So if you want quality, you know, you got to pay a little extra money. And, you know, the residents' lives matter. You know what I'm saying? Resident lives matter.
Right.
NYCHA is a great voting block. So I'm glad that Ms. Taylor is not sleeping on NYCHA tenants as a lot of other politicians are. But NYCHA is a big voting block that can bring someone in to that house.
So
Great
my
suggestion.
question is this. So just so we can get the numbers on that, right? How many people live in NYCHA? What is the population of NYCHA? All of New York, the basic population. What are we talking about?
Well, I'm not sure of the population of the whole city, but I know NYCHA is about 700,000. You know, when you count
It's close.
everyone
I'm
in
gonna
the
shoot this
city.
over to ESP.
Close to that.
Close to
ESP.
that.
I need to know how many people are living in NYCHA right now. How many people live in NYCHA? So I want a number on that, just to show the power
Yeah.
in just
Right,
you
the numbers.
guys.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Let's know what it is. You know, the power of you guys that are living in NYCHA,
And
that you have the ability to
Right.
put somebody in the highest office
Yes.
in New York City.
Yeah.
Right. If every NYCHA resident voted for Joycelyn, she
Right.
would have a great chance to win.
Yeah.
And also invest in her campaign, because
Right.
most of these politicians take money from the real estate board of New York, and then once you get money from them,
Right.
it's over. You know, now they own you. So
Bought and
what I
sold.
like about her campaign is it's grassroots
Right.
from the bottom up. So support.
Regular people. That's right. Yeah. I know they did a study on garbage a while back, and that's why they were able to say it's close to 700,000 residents in public housing, but they still, NYCHA will say it's about 400,000. And remember, they're not counting the people that are not on the lease because they don't know they're there. So
Yeah.
that's another advantage. You know, there are people that still are residing there that are not on the lease and so forth, so that can still vote. So yeah.
Absolutely.
And you know, it's a huge population, and people have to understand that every day we're investing in the city, we're investing in the state and the federal government. You know, if you purchase a stock, you would watch that stock. You would want a return on that investment.
Right.
Right? We have to understand that it can't be, you know, okay for us to give the city, state, and federal government money from the time that we work and get a paycheck to
Right.
when we go buy gas, to when we go buy clothes, and then not expect a return on investment.
Right.
You know, that money needs to go to ensure that everyone's community is okay.
Right.
There should not be this kind of disparity in the city. You shouldn't walk in one person's neighborhood and you see garbage all over the place, and then you go in other neighborhoods and it's just nice and clean.
Yeah.
You know, it's a joint effort with the people who live in the community,
Right.
but we have to be honest about some communities are not getting the same level of service.
Right. Systemic racism. That's
Yeah.
the bottom line. We got to call it out what it is.
That's right.
Who's in NYCHA as of now is blacks and Hispanics. Yes, there are some Caucasian people and others, but at the end of the day, it's blacks and Hispanics. And the systemic racism, and if you go back to when NYCHA was formed in the 1930s, it was no black people moving in there in the 30s. So, and I have an article, probably I'll have it out for us next week to look at about that. And you can see, you know, the people on the line, pictures and everything. It's even Pink Houses is in the article. What's the
Lafayette Gardens?
No, in Queens.
Queensbridge.
Right, Queensbridge.
Okay.
I mean, it just shows the difference and the disparity and how it's changed through the years. You know what I'm saying? I was telling somebody, you know, people took care of their apartments in a whole different way. Like, my mom had drapes. You know, people have curtains. We had drapes. We had the pull thing and all
Yeah.
of that. So, you know, it's a whole different time now, but
And
people
mindset.
still
It
care
is.
about their living conditions. And one more thing, I did the math on if someone was renting, because we're talking about ownership, if you paying $800 a month, times that by 12, times that by 20, you done paid $192,000 in your apartment. That's a
Right.
house.
Right.
That's a house.
Right.
All day.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like that because she's bringing a different perspective.
Exactly.
A lot of it's kind of thinking out the box. And I know a lot of NYCHA residents, if they had the opportunity to
Right.
do that, would do that
Have
and
the
then take
access-
pride in it, and the whole
Exactly.
it
Right.
changes the whole
Ownership.
mindset.
And that's how you change mindset, right? Because you do feel a sense of pride.
I can do it, right?
Yeah, you do still feel a sense of pride when you own something.
Right.
And it goes back to the demographics, because I remember when we first moved into pink houses, we were only black family probably in 3 or 4 of the floors.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? It was predominantly white.
Right. Yeah.
But at that time, it was built as a place where you can go and you can live someplace decently. You can save money and
Then
move
move out.
and buy a house.
Yeah.
Which was the objective.
Right.
That was the objective.
Right.
Now you're trapped.
They failed.
Literally.
They bought no programs, no
Right.
resources, no
Right.
no nothing. You know, and now it is what it is. And then you take away the money also. So no resources brought in. Then you divest and don't bring any funding in.
Right.
You're gonna get what you got, what we have right now.
Right.
You know,
Well-
folks who are stuck in a situation.
Well, what that was, right? So, what year are we talking that you lived in the pink houses?
Well, I was born in the 60s.
Okay.
And I lived there for almost 30 years.
Okay.
Right. So here's what you had going on. Here was the sucker's bet. When we moved into NYCHA, when we started moving into NYCHA and inhabiting NYCHA, right? That's when the systemic racism of us not being able to buy a house was happening, right? You got to remember, Levittown, Long Island,
Right.
part of the bylaws was that they would not rent to black people, straight up. That's what Levittown is. So, in spite of the fact, okay, we supposed to go into NYCHA and be able to buy. Come on, even Donald Trump. You all know that. You know that scandal,
Right.
You couldn't move in one of
They
his
left
buildings.
Rack City, I believe his
right.
father
and they
owned
were
it.
tucking.
Right.
You know, a black person came in. You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Right.
So it was against us from the gate
Exactly.
to be stuck in
Set up.
NYCHA.
The set
They
up.
didn't want us to get out of NYCHA.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Because if you did, then everything would have been fair. So what I have here, let me hold on. Cynthia, she's like, there's about 600,000 to 700,000 people in NYCHA. There goes Cynthia. Cynthia always on it.
Yes,
hold on.
it's there.
Oh, you know, okay, so this is a radical thought she's got going on. She said, we want to be a resident management association. No one can manage NYCHA better than us. That's what she said.
Yeah.
And I would like to add, and
Makes
I say
sense.
I agree, you know, because resident management corporation it gives you those Section 3 guidelines in HUD that you lose when they privatize it. So there'd be no Section 3. There'd be just kind of what we have right now. So this is kind of a twist where the residents can own it and manage it
Right.
themselves.
But at the end of the day, who's the best advocate for you? You.
Right.
You,
Exactly.
100%.
Right?
Let
Exactly.
me do it. I
Right.
live here.
Right. Right.
Let me do it.
And
And
then
also-
if you're managing it as well, you're holding the other people in the community accountable.
Correct.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Listen,
We
when-
all own this.
Exactly. When I was growing up, we were held accountable. We weren't allowed to walk on the grass
That's
when you
right.
lived in NYCHA. You weren't, all of that stuff, all of the, peeing in the elevator and all
All
of that
that,
kind of stuff,
yeah.
it wasn't acceptable.
Right.
And, in our household, even on our floor, if the floor wasn't cleaned the way it should be, we had a mop and a broom that belonged to the outside of the house that we had
Y'all
to
just
go
did
out there
that.
and do it. But the thing about that is that made you think that when you saw your friends doing something, you're like, listen, don't pick that up,
That's right.
Yeah.
right?
Do you know I just cleaned that?
Exactly,
Right. Yeah.
exactly. So we have to get back to that, right? I think so many people have pride in in their developments, and they've stayed there so long, and they invested in them, and we just have to do what we can to help them to get back to where it needs to be. The city has gone ahead and built all of these nice shiny buildings around them.
Yeah.
How would that make you feel?
Off of their rent, by the way.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That money came from NYCHA to do that.
Yeah,
lot
because
of
it's a
them buildings.
misnomer that, people in NYCHA are living there for free.
That's right.
I know people living in NYCHA who are paying $1,800 a
Yeah,
month rent.
Exactly.
Yep. All right. That's right.
Here's the deal. When you have 334 apartments, right? 170,740 families, 400,000 individual people living in NYCHA. I'm sorry, it's 178,894 apartments, 95 apartments in NYCHA. You know what? That's a lot of rent.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. I'm not saying everyone's paying top dollar, but 178,000 apartments.
Right.
Ain't nobody paying $1 for their apartment.
That's right.
Right.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right. Mhm.
That's
right.
a lot of money every month. And that money is always being siphoned out of. The problem is it's being siphoned out of NYCHA to build all these other developments like the Hudson Yards.
Right.
That's how they finance the Hudson Yards.
That's right.
Because a lot of the developers that are doing these developments are the management companies for NYCHA.
Right.
Right.
So they siphoning money out,
Public-private partnership.
Yeah,
And it's very incestuous relationship between them. Like we're fighting your LIC now in Long Island City, and they're trying to come in and do all this massive development. This is after the Amazon fight was over, and they just keep coming back, and they say they're engaged in the community, but they're really not. They're doing what they want to do from the top down, and they expect us to kind of go for that. We're fighting for that and fighting against that. Whatever dollars they're getting in subsidies, whatever, why is that not going to NYCHA?
Right.
Why are we helping billionaires become richer when so many people are starving and living in these conditions?
Right.
HUD gives $30 million a week to NYCHA.
Right.
Let that rest.
And then Cal Maloney asks, where's the money going?
Everybody.
Exactly.
And she can't get an answer.
I got to absorb that.
30 million.
That's why I said it's slow. $30 million a week HUD gives to NYCHA.
With no accountability.
Nobody knows where it goes. I even asked the federal monitor
And we
at
can't fix
the
the
City
apartment.
Law breakfast.
And
He
we
said
can't fix
they
the
don't know where-
apartment.
no.
And when we fix the apartment, it still looks like crap.
Ballers, no ballers.
I got to tell you something that's really wild because, I move around the city a lot. So last night I'm sitting on Steinway Street. It's about 12 in the morning, about 12, 11 o'clock at night. And I have a friend of mine, I'm not going to mention his name, but he is a contractor for NYCHA. Right?
Okay.
He has a couple of buildings that they fix in NYCHA. So it was an interesting thing because I'm going to bring this back to community, right? To what Rebecca was talking about. He was like, yo, Rock, I go into this woman's apartment. Her refrigerator's been down for like a month. Do you know that she never took the meat out of her refrigerator and just left it there? And I walked in that apartment and it smelled terrible. And she said, I didn't need a mask. He was like, you used to the smell. Why wouldn't you take the meat out the refrigerator, get an ice, or just throw it away? You can't cook it. It's over. And I just want to be clear about that, right? This is a Greek contractor, okay? This is a white person that is going into your apartments, and when they come back home into their hood, they're like, yo, Rock, your people are savages. You see what I'm saying? And when you hear that story, now I got to correct them and try to fight it, but it's a hard fight.
Yeah.
Because where's your pride? Where's your I'm not gonna live like this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where's the I'm gonna mop my floor in front of my house?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then you mop your floor in front of your house. And then by the time we done mop the hallway.
Yeah.
But I will say some of this is mental. You have mental
I was just
conditions.
gonna say
I
that.
walked in this
Sure.
person's
That's right.
apartment. I
That's
felt
right.
depressed.
Right.
Yeah.
As soon as I walked in, it's like, oh my God, the light, it was dark, and it was like, so
It does have an
makes you
effect
feel-
on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even when they were going to do the infill proposal, the project in Homes Towers, because I'm the co-founder, one of the co-founders of the Homes Isaac Coalition, when they were going to do that, and we had the community board and stuff come out, and Fetner, the developer, was there, shame on him, they asked about the psychological impact. Was there a study done for the residents regarding the psychological impact of a 50-story building being built there? And everybody was like, quiet, because they didn't even do the steps to see how it would impact the people that live there.
Right.
So you're going to have people making 6 figures living in a building 50 stories, double your building, like you got to look up twice,
Right.
and they're coming and going, a whole different side entrance and all of that, of course, but they're living on our campus.
Yeah.
What kind of impact was that going to have on us?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Cynthia Tibbs, hopefully you can call in and shed light on resident manager corporations. I know that's something that NYCHA residents should know more about. So if you have time to call in, call in and share.
I told her today, I said, we got you on speed dial.
Right.
You know that.
We may call you.
Right. Another thing, the median income is $400 a month, but that doesn't mean everyone's paying that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I wish I paid $400 a month right now.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
A lot are paying a lot more.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
and
For one bedroom.
Yeah.
1,000, 1,500. Yes.
And they suffer from the lack of services just like, everyone else. So it's definitely not fair. We definitely have to do a lot more as it relates to investing in it. The dollar values that are put aside for NYCHA, they're getting a lot of money. We need to make sure. And, even when we went over to the housing management's office, I was surprised that they have no means to actually, both times we went there, The first time we went there, they had no record of her request or that repairs were being done in her apartment. The second time we went there, they had no record of why she had received the letter. Why are they there then?
Right.
What are we doing?
They not new
like
to
your
this.
first
They're
line
true
of
to this.
defense should be your management office. Anyone that walks into that office, the housing manager or whoever is responsible should be able to go into the computer system and pull up information in regards to everything related to that person's tenancy.
But that takes you to the hiring. Who are they hiring in
Right.
these spots? You know, when I was working with NYPD, I put in, because you needed either associate's degree to be a housing assistant. And at that time, I had an associate's degree. And I applied. And the salary was like a tick of, this was years ago, like maybe 10, 15 years ago, something like that. And it was a tick above what I was making. And I applied, but I didn't, they didn't call me. I was stable anyway. But yeah, it's about the hiring practices, what are the qualifications? We got to look at all of that. Who's behind the desk?
Right.
And what kind of service do we want to? First, they got to decide what type of service they want to provide. Do you want to provide quality service? Do you want to, provide superior service? What does that look like? We have to start from there and work our way back.
Some of the workers, I'm not even speaking of caretakers, because caretakers.
Oh wait, hold on.
Too,
I think it's
some of the workers.
Hold on.
Is that her?
I believe so.
No.
Hold on for 1 second. Y'all
Yeah.
gotta tell me 'cause I can't hear. Hold on.
Press 1. To send a voicemail,
I
press
believe
2.
that's Cynthia. Cynthia.
Yes.
Oh, Cynthia Tibbs in the building.
Yes.
We're going to have your picture up next time. Next week, we're going to have your picture.
Cynthia, I tell you, send me your picture so I can put your picture on the screen.
Till
when
we
you call
bring
me.
you
You
in.
on my Facebook, all you had to do was snatch one. I'll send you a picture.
Let me send you it?
Yeah. Snatch one up, man. Let me.
I'ma send it.
Send it to my email.
Snatch one and send it.
So we'll send it to
Send it to rocklogic67
Okay.
at gmail.com. Or if you send it to Stan as an instant message, because I'm in his account.
Send it to Stan?
Yeah, then I can just grab it and just pick
Okay.
it up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Come
just
on.
chop it up. I'm doing this
Cynthia,
one.
you anonymous, and we got you on speed dial, girl.
What's up?
Oh, man, it's so good to hear your voice. So, what's happening? What are you bringing to the table? I see you active in the chat room. What's going on?
And do you also have any questions for our Mayoral Candidate? If so, feel free.
Many things. Resident Management Association. Let's talk about that. Stan is absolutely right regarding Section 3. Now, for those of you that don't know, there is an organization called 700 Strong.
Yeah.
Saundrea should know them.
Yes.
It is made up of 700 men in NYCHA that are all skilled tradesmen, whether they're plumbers, electricians, carpenters, but they're all NYCHA tenants. They actually went downtown to 250 Broadway and gave them a proposal on how they could be utilized to get all these apartments fixed. And it would be for much cheaper than what NYCHA pays out, because NYCHA is very wasteful when it comes to money. They will give it to their friends, their in-laws that are contractors, rather than put it into the development and the people that actually live and work here. And the proposal they submitted was almost half of what NYCHA pays now for outside contractors. And they turned them down. They didn't even want to hear it. Why? Because it takes money out of their pocket.
Wow.
And God forbid you do the right thing by NYCHA tenants.
Wow.
I'm gonna tell you, Cynthia, this is it's interesting because when I did my speech over at when we were in what was the first time I spoke?
And that was at Jacob Reese.
Jacob Reese, right?
In Queensbridge.
I said exactly what you're talking about. I didn't even know the 700 Strong even existed. I said, we got people that live in NYCHA that are professional carpenters and construction workers and floor guys and all that, and we need to have these guys can go around and fix the apartments.
Right.
They live here.
They had a whole proposal. A whole proposal. And they had a whole proposal that they submitted to them, and they didn't want to see it. They didn't want to hear it. They shot it down and showed them the door because it did not benefit them. Those at the top are going to make sure that their pockets continue to be lined at all costs.
It's interesting how, you know, some people have everything and they want to behave as though they have nothing. Like, no matter how much they get is never enough. And we talk about, you know, communities being disproportionately affected. You know, we talk about disparities, but when we see ways and we know opportunities that we can recreate to change these communities, we don't take advantage of it. What could be better than people who working in the community or people who are living in a community that need work actually working in their communities? I mean, you can't get any better than
doing
that.
it the right way.
Yeah.
That would be too much of doing it right. And that's what I've been asking the federal monitors since day one. How much longer is it going to take you to find the $30 million a week?
Wow.
Every time I speak to him, I say, did we find the $30 million yet?
No, he doesn't know.
Why? Why is this so hard to find?
Exactly.
Why? Because the top executives are funneling it and they don't turn over all their paperwork.
Right.
NYCHA is never going to divulge 100% accuracy.
But you
They're
know,
not going to be accountable. They're not going to be transparent.
You're absolutely right, and we know the controller does some work as well, but this might be something that the attorney general needs to look into. Because we're talking about criminality.
It's going on too long.
Criminality, that's that's criminality.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
AG, Letitia James, look
Also,
into NYCHA.
Scott Stringer.
Well, I call the controller, right? But he does but so much. He does but so much.
He's done 11 audits on NYCHA, more than any other controller has done.
That's called him.
11 audits.
Yeah, and you know, the thing about it is we want to keep auditing stuff, but we're not making any changes.
Right.
Audits should come with some kind of implementation of some changes, or else why are you even bothering to do the audit, right?
Exactly.
So we have to make sure that we're not just looking at what the issue is and identifying it and then just leaving it alone. I mean, we do so many disparity studies as it relates to how, you know, communities of color are being treated in this city. You know, I tell people we've studied the disparity of the disparity, with the disparity, under this disparity, for the disparity.
Right.
We don't need to study anything else. We see all the problems clearly in front of us.
Very wasteful, 100%. And NYCHA is very wasteful with the money. They get it. They mismanage it, and then they'll spend it on cheap items just to try to make it look good. They'll do a great cosmetic cheap cover-up in a heartbeat rather than get to the root of the problem. Why? Because at the end of the year, when they show how much money they quote-unquote saved NYCHA, then they get a bonus.
Wow.
We all know that NYCHA gets bonuses. They've been getting bonuses since the 60s.
Maybe
it's all about cost and effect.
Maybe we should do a petition.
Maybe we should do a petition.
One thing
to
I want
ask the AG to look into NYCHA's funding.
And how do we amplify that 700 strong story? I think that's something we need to really get more out to the media, because how do you ignore that? That's incredible. That's incredible. That's
all I ever say. Every time I go to a meeting, I say 700 Strong had a formula way before Fight for NYCHA at Fulton Houses came along and did the people's budget. 700 Strong had a formula.
Can we get them on the show? Can you get one of a representative of them? Yeah, that'd be great.
Sure.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I think that's
sure. We could call them.
Yeah,
Cynthia,
highlight them.
Is that you on the screen, by the way? Did I get you right?
You see it?
That's me.
Okay, I just want to make sure we got it. There goes Cynthia on the screen. Now we have a face to the voice.
It's in the middle.
Yeah,
Tell who's in the picture. Tell us who's in the picture.
Yeah,
even though I know. Go ahead. Who's in the picture?
That's Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer and Rosaba Rodriguez, who's the director of NYCHA for Gail Brewer.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesomeness.
We had another one
because I call them constantly.
It sounds like it's a full-time job, right? And if only we could get NYCHA to be proactive and not reactive, you know. I
Yeah.
had an opportunity to do an interview with Monica Morales on Pix 11, but they didn't air it. But one of the things that I said to her is that every morning when I see her on the news, I think to myself, my goal is to put Monica into a new job. Right?
Yeah.
Because she's been reporting on these things
She's
for
the
years.
NYCHA ambassador.
Yeah, and she's done an amazing
been reporting
job.
when no one else did.
Yeah, she's done an amazing job about bringing light to all of the issues that are going on in NYCHA. But we need NYCHA to
Absolutely.
do its part,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Monica has been to my development, I don't know how many times, because she never knew that NYCHA had brownstones. And I told her, we're the forgotten brownstones in NYCHA. We're the last to get services because all the money goes into the developments, into the projects, into the towers, and we're left to sit and rot. And it's not fair. And when you're a president that's vocal, NYCHA will do their best to intimidate you.
Yeah.
Those 185 notices, I get them to the point, if there was ever a paper shortage, I could hand them out for toilet paper.
Wow.
And it's a form of intimidation. Whenever you call them out on something, you get a 185 notice telling you are an undesirable tenant. And I just go, okay, show me what I'm not desirable with.
Wow.
The last person I know that had a 185 was a senior tenant of mine who's blind, who went into management for 6 days in a row asking for someone to help her do her annual review. And for 5 days in a row, they told her they were too busy to help her. On day 6, the receptionist told her to go to the kiosk and do it herself.
She's blind.
She's blind.
Wow.
But she's blind. So she threw a fit. And she was entitled because she was hot and she was tired and fed up. And she threw her glasses off and said, how the F do I supposed to do this myself? You stupid so-and-so, this, that, and the third. Mm-hmm. And her home attendant grabbed her by the arm and took her out of the office because she didn't want her to, her pressure was getting high and everything. The time it took her to walk back to her apartment, they were knocking on her door with a 185 notice trying
That's
to have
incredible.
her evicted. That's how fast they came.
Wow.
And she called me crying.
Way to go, NYCHA.
And way to go, NYCHA. It got even worse. They claimed that they called the cops on her. She created a scene. So they didn't know this on a blind woman.
Wow.
This is what management claimed. Oh, we had to call the cops. Oh, okay. I'm going to check that. So I called her kids. We went to PSA 6. No reports on their log of management calling. We went to the 24th precinct. No reports on their log of them being sent out to the management office. So they lied on her.
Wow.
Wow.
All to try to get her put out because they said her behavior was conduct unbecoming of a NYCHA tenant. And it breached her lease.
Cynthia, I got an interesting question. And I'm going to ask this kind of around the table because I'm kind of curious about something that I want to know. In the management office, right? I'm just going to shoot this out there. It's kind of a wild thought.
Yeah.
What is or are the nationality of the people working in the management office?
Well, I'm gonna tell you the same thing about Queensbridge is that they're people of color, and what's also surprised me is some of them live in NYCHA themselves.
Okay.
So I'm like, you live in NYCHA, and this is what's going on, and you're allowing and you're being a party to this.
Job, I would have been in there.
Yeah.
I'm just, I just wanted to shoot that out there because I'm kind of curious.
No.
I'm like, isn't it black people that are working?
Black and Spanish.
Yeah.
Black and Spanish are the majority of your management.
Right.
So
100%.
how are you not part of this cause?
Yeah.
We technically,
That's right. They're not.
If you want to keep
us.
it funky, right? That is us taking care of us technically.
Right.
Yeah.
You at the helm. You right there. I get it. You might have a boss. I get those things, but you are right there on a day-to-day basis. And as a African American, as a Black American, you're not taking care of your own people.
Right.
Because you have
Not only do they not, but they ignore us. Presidents, any president that goes against the norm, and believe me, I go against it every day.
Power to you.
They block us on our phone. They don't want to answer us. They don't want to answer our emails. But then when I jump over your head to your superiors, then you catch an attitude.
Right.
Well, then work with us. Because
right.
at the end of the day, I tell everybody in management, you guys come and go. We stay.
That's right.
Yeah.
We don't go anywhere. We're here. We're not budget. This is a promotion for you. This is our apartment for us. This is our livelihood.
Yeah,
and we don't deserve to be treated like third-class citizens.
Yeah,
Wow.
and there does seem to be a lot of turnover with management at NYCHA Development.
Yeah, in Queensbridge, they say they got a whole new group.
Yeah.
A whole new manager, housing assistant. You know, the past ones were terrible, but from what we've seen, they are just as bad. You know, so you change, but really nothing's changed. You know, and it's terrible.
But it's funny because
in the
my
2 years,
development, we
WISE
didn't have
has
that.
changed 6 times. We've changed management 6 times in 2 years. Every 4 to 6 months, we get a new manager and a new superintendent. Why? Because this development is very political. So you come from places of, you know, the South Bronx, where you're used to nobody not reporting to anyone. And you come down here and we don't let you get away with it.
Right.
We're going to go to our electeds
Right.
and we're going to make them
We write
fight
letters.
for us.
We make calls.
And
That's
they
right.
can't handle it because they're not used to people calling them out.
Accountability.
Yeah, they can't stand it. They want to come here and listen, we had one manager spent more time at blockheads down the street than she did in the office.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Well, you know, one way to stop tenants from coming into the office and, you know, having to be upset and, you know, being put in a position of having to get these letters is to actually provide them with services.
Right.
So if you were proactive about doing what it is you need to do, you wouldn't have anything to do all day.
That's right.
Like, you know, I think that they don't have any real plans in place as to, listen, normally when they do the, when they do the annual recertification, at least I know when I used to live there, they used to come to the apartment and they used to look at everything and see what needed to be repaired and what needed service. I mean, they should still be using that, not to just certify and see if you're making more money, if they can get more money.
That's what it's about.
Right? Let's see what you need to do that's in this apartment. You know, there was a process where, you know, all of the kitchens would be changed out in a certain time.
yeah.
All of the bathrooms would be changed out
jobs
at
every
a
3
certain
years.
time.
Not
like
anymore.
every year you used to get every
3
3 years
years,
you used to
paint
get your
jobs.
apartment painted. Like it has
Clockwork.
to go back to being proactive, and then you don't have to have all of these conversations. And the people of color who are working there in NYCHA, we have to change our mindsets too, because we don't want it to be a situation where when we're okay, it's okay. Right? And we forget about everybody else that's
Right.
affected.
But
right? And sometimes that happens, you know? Like we get in these positions and we see everything that's going on around us and we see other people, you know, suffering, and we won't say anything because, hey, my apartment is good. But no, to the extent that we're not all okay, none of us are okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
It comes
That's right.
back to systemic racism again. I'm going to point it out. I have a resident. I won't say in a building, which building it is, because I'm in either Holmes or Isaacs. They're on life parole, and they get an inspection every year. They come to the apartment. Why? Because they're on life parole. You understand what I'm saying? They don't come to my house. They don't come to other people's house every year. Every year they're at this person's apartment, like clockwork.
So you say life parole, like what do you mean? He's on parole for life?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's on parole for life.
Incredible. I just want to big shout out to LaFonda. She, as we were commenting about the conversation, she said, you know, maybe the people working there don't fit, you know, it's not affecting them personally. So henceforth, you know, they don't care. There's no action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When one suffer, we all suffer.
Exactly.
And
you
that's
know.
that's the unification part, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think I made a statement. Let me just switch cameras. I think I made a statement the other day. I said I had a revelation. Right. I was watching the Jewish community, and I was going through Williamsburg, and I saw, for the first time, it struck me that the reason why they all wear exactly the same thing is because they are always constantly reminded that they are unified as one thought, one move, one motion.
Right.
And if one of them ain't all right, none of them ain't all right.
Exactly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it was like, damn, that's why they do that. Like, they are always reminded that they are one people.
Right. Right.
Because everybody looks exactly the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I found it interesting.
We have to come
Cynthia,
together.
Yes.
you still listen. I'm gonna give the mic to Rebecca
No.
because
Okay.
I'm hitting that 15-minute mark, and I really want and I mean, we
Joycelyn,
can go longer.
Joycelyn Taylor, yeah.
Joycelyn. I want to kill myself. Okay.
That's okay.
Listen,
I know
it took
where
me
that
3
came
weeks
from.
to get Saundrea right. It was Saundrea Coleman.
I called out Rebecca Lamort last week.
Right,
That's
right,
probably
right,
why she's
right.
in your head.
I'm still
Sorry.
stuck. Okay.
Okay.
All
We
right.
got that.
Joycelyn.
She got a shout out again.
I need to give you the next 15 minutes. I want you to talk about your platform and what you're running for mayor about and what's going on, and let's really get into it. We did the NYCHA thing. We know where it's at. But now I think that people want to know in terms of policies, where do you stand? Where are we going with this? Cynthia.
See you next week.
I'll see you next week,
Absolutely.
girl. All right. Thank
Cynthia
you.
Taylor's in the house.
Always. All right.
I'll be in the chat.
I bet.
All right.
Bye-bye.
So I'm giving you the mic. It's on you. Here we go. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much. You know, as you mentioned, I am from NYCHA. I grew up in East New York in pink houses. And I decided to run for office because, you know, I walked around the city and I saw all of these nice, shiny buildings going up, and I saw a 20% increase in homelessness, right? I saw all of these small business owners trying to do business with the city of New York. We're all investing in the city. The city spends $22 billion in the procurement of goods and services. And I saw them not getting opportunities. Or if they were getting opportunities, the city wasn't paying them. They're losing their homes. They're losing their businesses trying to do work with the city. I saw kids graduating from 5th grade and not being able to read. And, you know, seeing all of these things that are going on in the city, even if it doesn't affect me personally, I was just compelled to do something. So I decided to run for mayor because I believe that we have enough money in this city to create so many changes and for everybody to live well. And if we just had the right leadership in place, working together, things could be so different. So as mayor, what I want to do is that I want to reshift our priorities. I want us to make sure that everybody's basic needs are met first, that everybody has decent housing, employment, a job that will allow them to live, create a stable household, a decent education for their children, that they have adequate health care. If we can get our basic needs met first, then we can discuss all of these other things that are going on, right? In the city of New York, we get a return on investment. When we invest $6 billion in policing, what kind of return on investment are we expecting? When we invest $11 billion in new jails, what is the return on investment that we are expecting? We have to utilize funds to create things that will allow people to live their best lives. Give them the resources that they need. Everybody wants to live well. I don't think, you know, I've gone around the city and I've spoken to people from all different diverse backgrounds. And there's nobody that I spoke with that said that they don't want people to have housing. There's nobody I spoke with that said that they don't want people to have food on the table. And if we all want these things, then why don't people have them? We have to work together. And, you know, I've tried to, you know, do things in different ways. People ask about me advocating on behalf of other people. But, you know, sometimes you could do advocacy and that will be great. But I realize that you have to be able to change things from the inside out. You can't change things from the outside.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions, kind of some, you know, regular political stuff, right? So in terms of the school system, are you saying that the school system needs to be reformed in terms of how things are working in the school system, in terms of the education of the kids?
Oh, yes. I think we definitely need to reform the school system. And I think that in this moment, it showed us a lot of things. One, I was surprised that, you know, in New York City, one of the biggest cities in the world, that when a pandemic hit, we had never even tested a continuity plan as it relates to what would happen if kids couldn't go to school. right?
Yeah,
The
they
first
made it
time we're
better than
testing
home,
this out is when it actually happens. So it goes back to what I said about having a government that is proactive for us. But in this moment and through all of the things that we've went through, this is the time for us to look at where we are, right? And you hear the governor and the mayor talking about reimagining this city. Look at all of the things that we've created and the things that are not working, and do better. Create better. The school system as it is right now is not working for our kids. You know?
I agree.
They talk about no kids left behind, but sometimes those kids need to be left behind. And we can't have a stigma around that.
Yeah.
Right? Give kids the time that they need to learn in the way that they learn. And stop thinking that everything is one size fits all. If we go around this table right now and I ask everybody what their favorite color is, I'm sure everybody have a different answer. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to school, we want kids to go there and we want them all to learn the same way. Cookie cutter. Yeah, we want them all to learn the same way. We want them all to do the same thing the same time. And we never figure out what it is they're interested in.
I'm going to shoot this out there because I have you at the table. Once you become mayor, right, because that's going to happen, right? And first of all, I need you on speed dial because I got a lot of ideas, all right? I got
like
a lot
Cynthia?
Of ideas. Yes, like Cynthia on speed dial. I need Mayor Joycelyn on speed dial, right? And this is what I think about the school system. I think it's, number one, you're right. It's not one size fits all. And I think it's a very dated system that's going on. And I got to tell you something. Because this isn't a radical thought, because this is what other communities do, right? Outside of the city and inside the city. First of all, we don't prepare our kids for life.
Exactly.
Let's start with that. Mm-hmm. They never taught me how to balance a checkbook. Mm-hmm. They never taught me anything about credit. They didn't tell me how to manipulate credit, what the credit card was, all these things.
That's right.
So if I am financially illiterate, once again, brings us back to economic empowerment, right?
That's right.
I can't be empowered economically if I am economically illiterate.
Right.
Right? So from the time you hit the 9th grade or the 5th grade or whatever, you should be getting a credit card. You should be taught how to manage money responsibly. Other communities, other people, they do this.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why they're so far ahead of the curve when they become adults.
Yeah.
When I got 17, 18, I got a credit card. I was like, free money, I'm good. It was gravy.
Right.
I went off, but I didn't understand. I had to get the money back. And I didn't care about a credit score. And, I didn't care, And these are the things that
You didn't know.
I didn't
Exactly.
know. But we need to put these things into schools. Also, if you want to have entrepreneurs, then you got to teach that in the school too.
Exactly.
There should be a class that these kids manage a business. I don't care what the business is. Yes, go ahead, Joycelyn.
And the thing about it is, back in the days when I was younger, I remember when we were younger, we used to have a little bank book, and they used to take us to the bank to put like our little 10 cents in our bank account and stuff. We had home economics, we had carpentry classes, we had different things.
Shop.
And right now, when kids come out of school, they should be productive enough to be able to be purposeful adults. That's what we have to be able to create. The system is outdated. We have kids in school all day learning some things that they could just Google now. We got to be working within what makes sense in 2020, right? And what are we going to be able to get them excited about? Right? If you want kids to really learn and pay attention, they have to be excited. A lot of this stuff isn't exciting. No. And it's not to say that it's not important, but they're smart enough to know that some of the stuff we're teaching them is irrelevant to life.
Correct.
My kids tell me that all the time. My son just graduated, and he's like, half the things he learned in school, he's not going to use it all. It's going to have no benefit. And I want to also add, you got to be able to fire bad teachers. I used to be an organizer for Students First. Big shout out to Students First. And we found out it was just so difficult to get rid of a bad teacher, no matter what the teacher did. There's teachers who actually molested kids, and they get put in a rubber room. So you don't lose your job.
With a paycheck.
And you continue to move on, and you can't get fired. So the union has way more control over education because they protect bad teachers. And studies were showing that if you have a bad teacher 2 years in a row, you're on your way backwards now. So why can't we get rid of bad teachers.
Yeah.
Right.
We have to rethink how we operate as a society, because it's interesting that you say that, because that correlates also to bad police officers, right?
Yeah.
Why do we keep protecting that, right? And the unions have to look at themselves, because to the extent that you have one person in your organization that is bad is a reflection on the whole union. Right? So we shouldn't want to have any bad teachers. We have people who are in positions that are impacting other people's lives, whether it be citizens on the street they're supposed to be protecting, or whether it's children, and we keep giving them more chances than we'll give everyone else.
That's right.
Yeah. It's culture.
And the problem with a bad police officer, really, right, is that's a community life threat.
That's right.
If you are a bad police officer, let's define bad, right? You're talking about a police officer that is violent, right? A police officer that kills,
Right.
a police officer that is scared to be in the community that they're patrolling because they lived on Long Island all
That's
their
right.
life,
That's
right?
right.
And were never integrated or dealt with black people, right? And that's a big problem. That is a bad police officer.
Right.
So if you have that going on, and the police officer's track record is showing time and time again that he's a repeat offender,
Yeah.
we need to get union. Why are you protecting him?
That's right.
Why are you protecting him?
So how are
Yeah.
you going to deal with the
Corruption.
unions as mayor?
Here we go.
Well, yeah, we have to, as it relates to the police department, I want to reimagine the police department. Instead of NYPD, I want it to be the New York Safety Department, or New York Safety and Peace Department.
Wow.
Right? Because if you look up policing, is to enforce the law. Right? If you look up safety, is to keep people out of danger. So let's reimagine in this moment, in this pandemic, we're all, have time on our hands. We're reimagining everything. Let's reimagine everything. And let's reimagine how safety looks in this city. So, and I want the unions to be able to be held accountable. I think it's very important also that the officers do live in the city of New York. If you're living here, it's very important. But I also understand that requires that they be paid a decent wage as well, right? So that they could afford to live in this city. So I want to be able to reimagine how we police. I want us to have more training, more community-based policing, because there's work that needs to be done on the communities end as well. Right. And we got to look at not just what we're policing, not just how we're policing, but what we're policing as well. Right? Things like the situation that happened with Eric Gardner. Was it that serious that he's selling cigarettes?
Right.
Like, I get it. Laws need to be enforced. But I expect police officers to have critical thinking and discernment in how to handle situations.
That's right.
That's not a life and death situation we're talking about.
Right.
So we have to think about all of those things and, implement policies and procedures and things that work for us. Listen, as a human being, as a woman, as a mother, I look around at certain things and I say, listen, God created heaven and earth. He created the oceans, the flowers that we don't smell enough. And I say this all the time. We created everything else that is going on in this city, state, and country that isn't working for us. Why are we not changing it?
That's right.
Why are we not changing it? If it's not working for us, guess what? We can change it. But sometimes we have created laws to legally make us inactive, to legally make us not do anything, tie our hands. We have that going on right now with the absentee ballot, right? They don't want to count all of those ballots. They gave the ballots out. They told you not to go to the polls. They gave all the ballots out. They knew the postal system, it was an issue because, of everything that's going on with the pandemic. And then now they don't want to count your vote. They say, well, legally, if it's not postmarked, well, so by law, you're going to, cheat people out of their vote.
Yeah.
Right? You got to look at the situation that we're in this moment and apply critical thinking.
Right.
Just because something has been law, at one time it was legal to own slaves.
Right.
You want to keep that going?
Right. Almost sounds like they do, but that's another question for another day.
Yeah.
if the laws are not working for the people, if the government is not working for the people, then it's time for it to change, because that's why we pay into the government system. That's why we all agree to be in line with what the policies and procedures are, but they need to work for us.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm running, because I want things that are going to work for us. I don't want us to have to sit back and say that we have to accept so many things that don't make sense just because it's legal.
Right.
Right. That's right. And we do accept things because, it's legal. Well, just because it's legal doesn't make it right.
Exactly.
Right.
It doesn't mean that it makes sense. We have to use common sense.
Yeah, you 100%.
Right.
So I would like to talk about the, as a healthcare provider, I'm a healthcare provider, right? I'm an EMT/paramedic and American Heart Association CPR instructor. How do you feel about the healthcare system here in New York City? Particularly, like, how do you feel? What's your take on that, on the system? Does it work? I mean, we got a lot of bad hospitals. I mean, like, how do you feel? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, listen, this city is wrought with things that just need to be fixed. I think the healthcare system really needs to have some changes made to it. I think that, a lot of hospitals closed because they weren't getting the monies that they need. So now we have all of these urgent care places that we tell people to go to. And, for me, I think that even when you look at certain things as it relates to healthcare, wouldn't it be great if we had a system, we had a network of doctors that everybody can go and get a checkup regardless once a year?
Sure, why not?
Regardless of what your system is.
Once a year, you get a check. You know what?
That's how we
especially
keep.
in
That's
this time.
kind of easy.
That's how we keep people healthy, right?
That's kind of that's once a year. Everybody has to get a checkup once a year. That's actually, you know what? That is actually the simplest fix I think I've ever heard, and it makes sense.
Yeah, once a year.
Mandatory. You got to get checked out once a year just to make sure you're cool.
Sure.
Exactly. That would help us a lot with people being able to catch things that might be going on with them early. But you have the healthcare system that a lot of people are not even able to obtain healthcare. I know people that in order for them to have healthcare, they have to pay like $600 a month, and then it's like a $12,000 or $18,000 deductible. So before the healthcare even kicks in, you've already doled out like $20,000, when opposed to I could just go to a doctor and pay him a couple of $100s and get a checkup. Sure. So what's the incentive to even have healthcare? We have to create a healthcare system that makes sense. We have created so many things that just aren't. We have people that I feel like are out of touch. Right?
Yeah.
You're out of touch with really what's going on. People. Listen, give me a plan that I could pay into $100 a month. I go and get an annual checkup, and that's it, and call it a day.
And if I need anything else, then we'll jump that hurdle.
Right.
We'll cross that bridge. But yeah, you're right. Just a checkup.
There's
people that are going around years that ain't had a checkup.
Physical.
Right.
Yeah.
A physical, just to go
right.
get a physical. You might get a physical for your job if you rock the MTA, right? Mandatory stuff like that.
Right.
But you know what? If that was the platform to just start that ball moving,
right,
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Like every year, everybody mandatory checkup.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
simple solutions.
Yeah,
I never heard
solutions.
no politician just
I've
say
never
something
heard that.
simply
I've
as
never
simple
heard
as
that.
that makes a lot of sense.
It's about our vitality. That's
Right.
what she cares about.
Right.
Really?
That was
And that's
just a
good.
great answer.
Because the thing is that it's different when we've looked at people and we've elected people based upon their political experience. But if people don't have your life experience, if they haven't gone through the things that you've gone through, your perspective is different.
Right.
I just want to tell you something. How you see, you just heated up the chat room, right? So Flor Clemente was like, "Amen," and then we got absolutely, right? We got that going on. So they're agreeing with what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to give you a quick.
Was there a hallelujah in there?
Of what's happening? Well, you know, Reverend Saundrea, she's gonna give you a hallelujah.
Big shout out to Bevis, my Lafayette College friend, as well as Tylon Washington, great music producer that I knew from back in the day.
And I think it was Brieford.
No, it's Bavis.
Oh, Bavis.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
A phenomenal artist too. I mean, a phenomenal,
Okay.
incredible artist.
Yeah.
So, I like that answer because that's a good answer. And what I've seen in the healthcare system from the inside, now I'm just, and I just want to be clear because I know how people get. what I'm saying have no bearing on what Joycelyn is running for. I'm just saying how I feel about something. You know what I'm saying? Because I know how they do you. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, you're connected with that guy that said some radical stuff. You know?
Right.
No, that's not what's happening. I'm simply voicing my opinion as an American. And what I tend to find out is hospitals like Lincoln,
Bronx.
right? What's the one out here in Brooklyn? Interfaith.
Oh God.
Brookdale.
Woodhall. Oh God.
Right? All bad hospitals
Terrible.
in our neighborhood. Now, I'm going to give you some insight on something that I know. All right, and I'm going to sort of ask sort of a joke, right? What do you call a doctor, right, that gets an A+ in school or a C-? What do you call them?
A doctor.
Exactly.
Right.
He's still a doctor, right? That's it, right? So guess what they do? They give us all the C- doctors, right? In all the better neighborhoods, they give the A+.
Right.
They go to LIJ and so on and so forth. And let me show you how crazy this process is, just to give you all some insight. Here's how it works. When you get out of medical school, you do not get a job off the cuff. That's not how it works. What happens is you do what they call matching. Right? So when you're matching, you apply to different hospitals, and whatever hospital picks you up, that's where you match at. Now, LIJ matches A+ students. Interfaith, C-.
I never knew that.
Yeah, this actually how it works, right? So the doctors that go to our hood are not the 8 top doctors, unless for some reason they didn't match. Also,
salary difference.
No.
Okay.
It's not even really a salary difference. They're still basically getting the same thing of what's going on, but it's what it is that the top doctors go to the great hospitals, the sucky doctors go to these hospitals.
Like I'm talking like a draft.
Right. And then also here's what happens, right? If the LIJs and the Mount Sinai's, they don't really hire people that didn't go to medical school in the United States. You can go to medical school in the Caribbean, Dominican Republic. You can go to medical school.
Right.
You can go south of Mexico. You can go anywhere in the world to medical school. But it doesn't mean you went to a great medical school.
Right.
Sure.
So a lot of the hospitals that take these people from these subpar medical schools end up in our hospitals.
That's institutional racism.
And that's why our hospitals suck.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
I'm watching this happen from the inside out because I'm the one that does the speech, the welcoming speech to the residents at Interfaith. Every year. That I'm not even talking off my cap. I'm telling you from the inside out.
Right.
I'm the one that gives the speech. And the first thing I say to them, I say, listen, here's the deal. I know that Interfaith was not your first choice. I know that. I know that these other hospitals just didn't take you. You didn't match. And you got to understand something. If they don't match, you don't got a job for a year. You got to wait a whole nother year, and that's why you have doctors that be working at McDonald's, or they go into research, or they go into other things because they didn't match.
Wow.
You got to wait a whole nother year for that cycle to come around for you to go back. And you came into this hospital, right? And they took you. I said, but let's keep it funky. Here's the truth. I say it to them. I say, listen, what makes a hospital suck? You. The doctors. This is just a building. Don't get any bad habits here. Treat your patients with respect. Understand it's a bad day for them too.
Right.
Right? And it can never be as bad as your day.
Right.
If you're not sure about something, don't just go and make a diagnosis. Speak to the nurses, because the nurses are the ones who actually run the hospitals, because they're there the longest. You know, doctors, they flow. Once you do your intern, right? Once you become a fourth year, right, you move on to something else. The nurses, 10 years, 20 years. Confide in your nurses if you're not sure about things. You know, and I started doing that 3 years ago, and the hospital itself just kind of improved. You know what I'm saying? Just from that little talk.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is how we end up with the bad doctors.
Yeah.
I want to just make you all aware of that.
That's very critical.
But, you know-
Interfaith should be shut down.
Interfaith
Interfaith Woodhall should be shut down.
Interfaith absorbed. Brookdale is closing,
Right.
and not Kings County. It's one of those other ones over there, and they're becoming Brooklyn United.
Okay.
That's the new system.
One
that they're
Brooklyn
doing.
Health or something.
Yeah. That's what they're becoming.
But even for those doctors, you could have been a C student, but what you have to understand is that you're in this. You have the opportunity to be the best of the worst. So no matter where it is that you started from, life is a continual learning process, right? We learn something every day. So it doesn't matter, what it is that you came into it with. Continue to just try to improve and be the best that you can every day. Right. And that's all that any of us could ask for. Right. And it's sad because even given this pandemic right now, think about that. Right. We already put people who are at a disadvantage, and now they have to continue to go to hospitals that are underserved and may not have the best, facilities available, physicians and facilities available for them. So I would just encourage them to just try to continue to be the best of, the C class.
If you're gonna be a C, be the best C you can be, baby.
They gonna tell you I graduated, and it is what it is, right?
Listen, you gotta admire them for even going through it, and a lot of that's hard.
It's a tough,
right?
It is
So
tough.
listen, I will take I would. You will take a C.
Yeah, listen.
C plus.
But be the best C you can be.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
But continue to
That's where the
improve.
residency come in, right? They
Right.
Continue to
They're
improve.
supposed to improve.
Right.
But
Yes.
you got to remember, sometimes you're getting serviced by a resident.
Right.
And you don't know the difference because they all wear white coats.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not
usually
necessarily
spare
an
you.
attendant.
Right.
Right? Which is what you want. So just know who you are being serviced by when you go into these hospitals. And you should ask your doctor, are you a resident? Which means you're an intern.
They usually
Or
identify.
are you an attendant?
Right.
Okay, you're a resident. So you fishing, you're learning.
Right.
Okay, I don't need you to learn on me right now.
You
Right.
can kind of tell.
I need your
though.
guy here.
Right.
I need your
Right.
guy.
You can kind of tell though, because they got the clipboard and they're asking you a whole
Right.
lot of
Right. Yeah,
questions.
yeah,
Like
yeah, they
you
do.
gotta go like, man, I'm sick.
Right.
Please.
So I want to ask Joycelyn, how can people get involved in your campaign? How can
Please,
they
let's go.
invest in your campaign?
Right.
How can people help you?
What's
Yes.
the deal?
So one of the things that I also want to say, especially because we're talking to NYCHA residents, is that I actually started this campaign, hashtag I am NYCHA. Because I want NYCHA residents, and even if you're not a NYCHA resident, to post a picture or post a video with the hashtag I am NYCHA and tag my campaign at Taylor for 2021. It's about stable housing, creating stable communities. So I want people to understand that regardless of whether you live in NYCHA or not, we are all affected by what happens to the NYCHA residents. So that's one thing that I will ask people to do, but it's very important. This is a grassroots campaign, so I need as much support as possible. I need for people to donate funds to the campaign. You can do so at my website at taylor42021.com, and also just to help me to spread the word by sharing all of my social media. Go to my social media pages at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at taylor42021.com. I mean, at Taylor42021, Taylor2021.com is the website. But please support. This is a grassroots effort, right? If we want to see change, we have to create the change that we want to see.
Sure.
And I think that we all want to do that. So this is a pivotal moment. Let's take advantage of it and try to do something different so we can get a different result. We can't keep electing the same people, doing the same things, and expecting different results.
Word
That's
up.
right.
I'm sold, Jack.
Yeah.
I'm old. I'm old.
And I just want to thank
Go ahead,
Ms.
Saundrea.
Taylor. Ms. Taylor for coming out to the Upper East Side Vigil of the Day last week.
Yes.
We had a nice time. She was with us. She marched with us and everything. So even in the rain, right? We had some rain.
Yes,
but
I've had
she
a
was
lot of
there.
rainy days.
Yeah, she was with
Yeah.
us and appreciate that.
No, definitely. And they said that they're going to do another potluck. I told them next time, let me
Right,
know
right.
ahead of time, and I'm going to bring macaroni and cheese.
Okay,
So.
okay. I might have to have them switch the day.
And she also was out in Queensbridge with Brother Sugar Ray and myself and a bunch of other folks feeding 150 people Friday in the rain.
I
You know?
actually saw that.
Yeah, in the
I saw it
rain.
on
She
your
stood out
Facebook.
there with in the
saw
rain
some
and did
pictures
it.
of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
So you
was
got to
really
commend
nice.
that. A lot of people running for office or leaders or however would not do that. They just said it's raining, I'm going to stay home.
Right.
But she showed up and it was amazing. It was great.
So, NYCHA residents, I'm just going to say this. First of all, you have one of your own that's running. That's two. And when you have a candidate that is one of your own, you need one of your own in the office.
Right.
Because then they understand what's going on with you. You want that to be
Right.
from the inside out. I could not run against Joycelyn because I'm not one of your own. You know what I'm saying? I've never lived in NYCHA. I've always lived either in a private house or we were in a housing complex. But I understand it enough, but I'm not an insider, baby. You know what I'm saying? We all know how to get to McDonald's and eat a burger, but you don't know how to make one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the deal. Here you have somebody that has grown up in NYCHA. So you wanna, it's to your interest, to your best interest, to help get candidate Joycelyn Taylor, right? You better get used to that, right? Candidate Joycelyn Taylor, right? Mayoral Candidate.
Soon to be mayor.
Joycelyn
That's right.
Taylor.
That's
You understand what I'm
Speaking
saying?
in existence.
Speaking into existence, because that's what it's about.
That's right.
You know, real talk. You speak those words, and those words happen.
Come on, Reverend.
So
Come on, Reverend.
we get that going, and she's gonna be all right because she's one of us. You understand? And that's the voice you want to. That's the voice you want representing you in 2021.
And I just want to stress also
First
somebody female. That's big.
First
Yes.
female.
And somebody that's not beholden
history.
to real estate interests. And I just want to stress that because a lot of these politicians, once they get the money from the real estate board of New York, they're done. So a grassroots campaign for the people, by the people, is critical. And we have a candidate that can do that. That's amazing. We need to support that.
Yeah.
We got to support that.
And on her site, it says no RAD, so she's not for privatization.
Big,
No.
big.
She's definitely into generational wealth, so she can teach. She was going to actually go around and help some of the churches, too, because they suffering, you know, with no heat, boilers broken and stuff. But the pandemic, she did. Our team, they were going to go hit some places for me, but, you know, it happened. So,
but we'll get back out there. We'll get back out there.
Help the people,
right? I think we needed that little bit of reset to make us take a step back and see how, you know, just how screwed up we were.
Right.
It's brought to light a lot of the stuff that, you know, needed to be put out there in the forefront.
I want to ask a question for
Go
you.
ahead, Go ahead. Come on.
Since this pandemic hit, I know a lot of people are running and looking, you know, to be elected in 2021 for different offices. How are you maneuvering through this pandemic? Because you can't be out like you would normally be. How is it for you? Did you find it difficult, or are you getting by? Like, explain that to us.
Well, you know, once the pandemic hit, my campaign really shifted gears, and we wanted to be a resource to people in the community for things that were happening. I also chair a nonprofit organization, New York City MWB Alliance, and one of the things we did through the alliance is that we did give lunches to interfaith, and we helped other people on the front lines who were, you know, doing service. As a thank you to them. And we've just been trying to be a resource to the small business community, provide them with information. If you go on my website, we got together a list of various ways that people can get things like food pantries, grants, whatever you need. So that's what we focused on. So, but it was challenging because during that time, you know, in order to run a campaign, you have to raise millions of dollars, especially if you're running for mayor. So it has been a little challenging, but you know, I always say what's for you comes to you. Right. And I know that I'm doing this for the right reason, but it was just really important to refocus. It was a little challenging because we were going out. We had plans to do things with you. We were going out to subway stations and different things. But, you know, we adjusted. That's what you do.
So I just want to, no, go ahead, Saundrea.
I just want to say thank you, too, because, and I didn't post it on social media, but Miss Taylor reached out to me. Now, I'm calling you Miss Taylor out of respect, because when you get in office, I'm still going to call you Miss Taylor. Like, you know, we're gonna be there. But she asked for my address, and she sent me masks. She sent me gloves.
Beautiful.
And she sent me alcohol wipes, and because she knew I was on the front lines and doing the work. So I want to just tell you personally, on this podcast, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And, you know, I do things, but a lot of times I do things, and I don't say anything about it because for me, it's not for show. Like, I just do it because I feel like it's the right thing to do.
Right.
Well, I'm just going to tell you, I'm glad you do the right thing, but you better start blasting off all the good you do because, because as soon as they try to get some dirt on you, they're going to blast off. You know what I'm saying? You want to make sure you got enough good karma in the situation that it don't affect you. But what I wanted to say, because I wanted to give a little bit of clarity, where can we donate exactly to your thing because I'm gonna make a challenge. So I want you to tell us where can we donate.
You can donate to my campaign at taylorfor2021.com. So there's a link there that says donate. So please, you can go to my campaign. You could donate there.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right. So
I
here's
did it.
Here's my challenge, y'all. Right? Because from what I understand, there's 700,000 people in NYCHA. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So my challenge to the NYCHA residents to show support, you need to go to that website, and I want each one of you in NYCHA to donate $2. Just donate $2 to the campaign, and that would be the millions that could be raised. Now, if you want to do more, you can do more, but you can go a minimum. If you want to do 10, you want to do 20, all good.
10 words. I say 10. Let's go 10. Let's go 10.
After 10.
Yeah, and when you're running campaigns, the reason why it is $10 is because there are certain requirements. It's those barriers to entry. It used to be $1 when Barack was running, right? And people showed up. So then they changed it to $5, and now they've changed it to $10 being
inflation
the
on the election.
They're making it harder. They're making it harder.
On the election.
They're making it harder to raise money. That's interesting.
So you know what? Okay, everybody in NYCHA, let's do $10.
Yeah.
That's it. So that candidate Joycelyn can reach her goal, right? Because we can do this from the inside out.
Yep.
You have to.
We don't need this from outsiders. We can do this within our own construct, right? And that construct that they've used against us to create the monster, right? In the situation, the construct are these buildings and we live on top of each other. Let's use that.
That's right.
To show that didn't break us. We are more powerful.
Yeah.
That's right.
So we're going to invest in this candidate. And I'm challenging you to the $10 challenge. Forget all that stupid ice bucket challenge and all that other foolishness y'all do. Let's do something real. You know what I'm saying? Let's do something real. Let's do the $10, all right? So I'll put that out there.
Yep.
You guys, y'all know, share it all over the planet.
Right.
Let
Yes.
everybody see it. And whatever we can do to really move your thing along, Joycelyn, you are a friend of the show.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So anytime, you know what I'm saying? And I know we normally just go an hour. We've done about an hour and some change, and it had to go over because it was that type of show.
Right.
Yeah.
Hell, we had a show before the show. Right? We was in here.
That seems to happen when Taylor enters the room.
Yeah. ESP was like,
ESP in the house. ESP's in the house.
ESP is there, right? So it was a show before the show. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure it'll be a show after the show.
I have a
closing
announcement.
announcement. Yes,
please.
Saundrea Coleman, go.
So next week, we will have civil rights advocate, Reverend Gregory Seal Livingston, be in the building with us, okay? Next week, it's confirmed.
Dynamic speaker. I saw a little clip on Twitter. So
He's fire.
You're going to be in tune for
Was he the guy that was like standing outside?
When I showed
that
you,
was, oh my
he's
broke down July 4th.
And
all
he
of it.
hails from Chicago, but we got him now. He's been here since last year.
Oh,
yes.
man,
And he has affiliation with Dr. Falani.
Yes,
Speaker All-Star. Fire.
yes.
He's fire.
This dude on that, I don't have to talk.
Yeah.
Because he's going to go.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
He's that guy.
And his
Right.
voice is like a microphone in his throat. Literally. Yeah,
he's
it's
got
powerful.
That, wow. Oh, man.
I got an announcement I want to make too.
Yeah, go ahead. Let me switch
On
the camera
Thursday, I want to say again, 1025 41st Avenue at Jacob Reese at 2 o'clock on Thursday. 1025 41st Avenue, 2 o'clock. Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney will be out there. We're going to have other NYCHA residents fighting back at that manager's office. And if you don't live in NYCHA or if you live in another development, come down anyway. Because when they see 20 or 30 or 40 or 100 people outside their office, they're going to get nervous. And we need that. So come on out, 2 o'clock Thursday, 1025 41st Avenue, and let's fight back.
I would like for you to, because you're doing these things, right? I would like for you to film it one day.
No,
like
we gonna take some.
I don't care what you're filming on. If you do it on your phone or whatever it is, so that we can broadcast that and they can see, and we can infect the city with that.
Right, you're gonna film that, so we'll be able to show that.
Yeah, even if you just have it on your phone,
right.
and just film what's happening and showing the impact of what's going on, and just follow that story. That's cool. It doesn't have to be a great camera; it just needs to be a camera.
Right.
So that we can see it. So,
And
Listen,
my Upper East Side
what?
vigil
Go
also.
ahead, hold on, wait. Go ahead.
Sorry.
What'd you say, Saundrea? Go.
The Upper East Side vigil, I'm leading it on Friday and Saturday coming this week. Reverend Livingston will be our guest speaker. That's Saturday, 7 p.m. That's 86 and East End Avenue, Carl Schutz Park. I have gospel recording artists coming out on Friday evening, Johnny Stowers, and I'm hoping that one of those nights your children can perform too. If not, we'll book them for the next week.
Okay,
but
let me
I am
know.
part of the organizing, and I'm about to shift a little things with what we're doing and help get it done in a really, really, really way that it needs to be done.
What's that about? I'm just saying.
This is the Upper East Side.
No. Now I'm mad at you.
What?
I'm salty. You didn't ask me to perform. You didn't say.
Shake what your mama gave you. That's Mr.
Hold on, wait,
Y'all don't know.
Is the camera still on us?
Yes.
Because I asked you to come out like a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, you didn't ask me to rock the mic. Oh, you wanted me to speak.
No, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Yeah, you could come out and do both. Come on.
See, Rock
I did
is
ask you to
modest.
come. And you could do. Look, it's a safe place. Speak with Come on, bring it.
Yes.
Bring
I'll
it.
definitely enjoy that.
Yeah.
Rock is modest. You don't want to tell y'all who he is now.
Shake what your mama
He's a
gave you.
celebrity.
Come on.
Shake what your mama gave.
Come on, say
You got to
one
give it one time.
Hit it.
Shake what your mama gave you.
There it is.
That's him. Y'all remember that?
Oh,
did Joe one time with that.
Yeah.
But
And I get the going, right?
you know what I'm saying? Saundrea is like my dad saw what she does.
Yeah, come on, one more time.
Shake what your mama gave you.
There it is. You heard it live or one night.
It's a 1-2 team over here.
Yeah, so we're going to sign off, all right?
Yeah.
Any closing statements, Joycelyn?
I just want to thank you guys for having me on. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself today on this show, and I plan on coming back.
We'll
on
have you
here.
back for sure.
Yeah.
Whenever you
This
want
has been
to say
amazing.
something
We
or
want to know
address
the
something.
progress. We want to know how it's going.
Yeah.
Yes, I will definitely keep you guys abreast of how everything is going with the campaign, and thank you for the support. I hope that everybody that watches this will share this information, and let's do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's create
Awesome.
the change we want to see.
Absolutely.
We're stronger together.
And on that note, I'm going out with the beat, y'all. That's y'all music.
Yeah, this
Is it ours?
This is cool. I
That's
hear
music.
some jazz going on.
Look at Stan.
I haven't heard this in a minute now. This is good.
I really am shocked.
Yeah, I told you he was going to like it. Man, listen to me.
Yeah.